invited a bunch of people, and hopefully we'll get to make some new friends.
Well, she said she wanted to show us around and to take us to the farmers market.
Yeah, the Des Moines farmers market. It's pretty popular, famous. It was really beautiful.
It was actually my favorite farmers market so far. It was really happening.
A lot of music. And we shared the Dutch mini pancakes, which were really good.
Yeah, you and Tiffany did it, and I was like, oh, that was so sweet.
For 1,000 miles and the heavens open every time she smiles. When I come to her, that's where I belong. Yes, I'm running to her like a river song. She gives me love, 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 crazy love. She gives me love, 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 love.
And then it was lunchtime, so we went to this beautiful community center that Tiffany reserved for lunch, and it was there were about 25 people came, half Muslims and half non-Muslims, and so the Muslims brought the main dishes like Syrian dishes and Somali dishes, and the non-Muslims brought the desserts and the drinks, and immediately people started mingling and talking to one another, and it felt like it was just so natural and so wonderful.
It felt like everybody knew each other, and they were already engaging before we could even introduce ourselves and why we were there. And it showed us, because the room was just really diverse and beautiful, and showed us that like we can really all get along and sit together even if we have different views on things. It's just about taking a moment.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think that's why the food is important.
Exactly. And we didn't even know whether they voted for Trump or not. In the beginning, we had an idea, but we were not sure. But then we later find out.
Yeah. So then Fatia decided to facilitate a conversation, and that conversation opened up a whole can of worms. So she started off with talking about the training where we learned a week before about Jim Henderson, who is a evangelical speaker who gets people to talk to each other that have different views, and especially around religion. And we use that to kind of get some of the folks to open up, because sometimes it's hard to get people at our dinners to ask questions because they're afraid that they might sound ignorant, or they don't necessarily want to look like they don't know what they're talking about. Right. And so with this group, it was actually a lot easier because they know what they believe in, and they're very,
and we started with, I'm curious to know, what do you know about Islam?
Right.
Kind of thing.
And Tiffany was the first person to go, and she did a really beautiful job. She talked about our 5 pillars of faith.
No, a lot, but I know is it 5 basic pillars or 6? 5 pillars? Is that right? Okay. So that is like the confession, your prayer and fasting, giving of alms, and then a pilgrimage to Mecca at some point in your life if you are able to. And kind of everything stems from that. And then obviously there's different belief systems, but I'll let somebody else go. Like I'll share the microphone.
So then we asked, I'm curious to know if anybody here voted for Trump.
And why?
And it was about a minute of silence, and then a gentleman volunteered, and it was almost like a confession. He was like, I voted, and it was...
They just kept,
kept
follow
going.
one another and just kept going. And it was it was difficult to be mad at them because they were so nice and reasonable. You know, I was like, okay, I get it, I understand. And now, so wow, so there is a difference between a Trump voter and a Trump supporter. You know?
Because what we found out at the end was that most of them didn't support him.
Yeah.
They voted for him, but they almost regretted it. And the biggest reason why they voted was because of their religious beliefs.
Yeah, pro-life.
And other than that, they could quickly say, you know, he's...
Some of them said, I didn't have a choice because I'm a Republican and I would always vote Republican. Others were like, well, if I knew Muslims, maybe I wouldn't have voted, you know, knowing what I know now and how it, you know, his decisions and policies affect your life and how afraid you are. Maybe I would have taken, you know, I would have thought about it as long as the other person have, you know, the most important thing is life, being pro-life for me. So there were a lot of interesting things that people said, and it was fascinating and just complicated, you know.
It wasn't that simple. And a lot of them seemed to have struggled with their decision, but they didn't know how to tell us almost, because once one person, and we're going to start calling it a confession, because it really is. Once one person confessed, and then another one, and then, you know, you had husbands and wives who were actually grappling with the decision to vote for him, but had to, you know, come to a conclusion after a long time of thinking about it, which isn't something we necessarily get to talk to people about. So it was a good opportunity for us to kind of get a better understanding of what decisions were there and how you feel now, a year and a half after his presidency.
Absolutely.
I did vote for Trump. My main reason was because I believe that a leader should care mostly about life, and Trump was anti-abortion. So life is a huge issue to me. I believe God created us to have life, and that in the womb, a baby is a life. So I had to follow my conviction on that, because if the leader of our country doesn't care for the most innocent and most vulnerable people in the world, which is the baby in the womb, then I don't know if I can trust them to lead our country and protect me, so, and my family.
I didn't see a lot because for the Muslims it was a survival to vote for a Democratic at this time, because otherwise they could face more. Although they disagree with Hillary Clinton, nobody likes. But it was, you know, it was like a survival. So they would say they have to vote, otherwise you will, if Trump was a Republican that are more like John McCain, will be better. Yeah. But this Tea Party group are very conservative. It's tough. Yeah.
So I'm Joel's wife, and I think it's important that you know that that was not a decision we came to easily. This was something we prayed and fasted about for a long time, and it was not something we really wanted to do. I think we were kind of put in a hard position with the choices that we had. And so we knew one for sure option did not hit too many no's for us. And the other option was at least one yes, a very baby yes for us. And we didn't think it was responsible to not vote or to write in a name that had no chance. So I think that would be the general consensus of most Jesus followers. They kind of got stuck and had to make a decision. And so that's where Joel and I were when we were fasting and praying about this, was what is the most in line with what we believe? Not much in line, but the most in line.
Me, I also voted for Trump for the same reasons that other fellow believers in this room voted for Trump. But it was hard for me. What I had to do was look from the outside in. Also, they disagree with what we call abortion and all of those things. They're similar. Most religions, Abrahamic religions, teach the same thing. But they look in the other side, because
the anti-immigration and the demonization of other beliefs, other religions, and so also it was also a survival, vote. In order to survive, and was also they have to pick up one choice.
We Islam's believe abortion is not right, but we also believe if two worse people comes, you have to choose one of them. So it's a tough choice, but he didn't have respect for women, he didn't have respect for religion, he didn't have anything that I could have voted for him. So we don't believe in abortion also, but the rest he came with, I strongly believe that will not support my religion in this country, so I did not vote for him.
I voted for Trump, and like Joel said, the unborn is my #1 issue. So Hillary was not an option. And today I would vote for Trump again because of that same thing. But the mainstream media would paint me a racist because I voted for him. I don't agree with everything that he's done and how he's done it. And you had mentioned something about Muslim immigrants. If I understood that issue better, because I don't, I may have a different understanding of how Trump impacts you. I may make a different decision as long as whoever would run in his place has life as their #1 issue. So that's, my family, I may be born in America, but my family's only been in America, a couple hundred years. So I'm come from immigrants as well. But it's different now. And there's so many people in the world that want to come here, and we're not really welcoming right now because of those that have come that have hurt people that live here now. Like the MS-13, those groups that have come from Latin America. We still need to protect those that are here, whether Muslims or non-Muslims, but it starts with the unborn. If we're not protecting them, I can't look away from that.
Get me a meeting with the president, and I would love to give him a piece of my mind about that. I did vote for Trump. I should rephrase that. I voted Republican. I don't like Trump. I don't like him as a person. But once again, I believe in life, and so I'm going to vote for life, and that happens to fall under Republican. So I'll vote Republican. Answering people who would respond to me and say, well, why aren't you starting all these petitions, or why aren't you coming against him? I would say, well, if I had a platform to make a change when it comes to him or Congress or whatever, I would do that. But I'm going to try to make a difference by loving people on the platform that Jesus has given me. And so the people that I get to meet at this table, I'm going to love regardless. And that my actions of how I'm living is going to be my statement of that's against what Trump is doing. Because I don't agree that he's belittling. I don't agree with that he would see people differently, maybe because they wear a hijab or the color of their skin. And so that is my protest of saying, I love everyone, and you, just because you're my president and I voted for you, you cannot control the way that I love people and how Jesus calls me to love people. So that's what I would answer.
So we've had an amazing experience. I don't think I would have met people like the ones we've met today had we not come out here and actually started this Even Muslims. A lot of people may think that we're all different, but it proves the point that we're trying to make, that we have so many things in common. I had great conversations with everyone that came to the luncheon, and I really felt like I've had this misconception of what a Trump voter may look like and act like and feel, but there was no hatred. It was just the opposite. So I think we're a little bit confused, right? Because we didn't expect that. I think I was pleasantly surprised. I think that's the best way to sum it up. Just being pleasantly surprised and wanting to come back. I want to come back to Iowa.
Yes, I can't wait. We're gonna come back.
We had a lot of people from different parts of Iowa come, and it all came together in the most perfect way. Couldn't have asked for more deep conversation.
Yep. We're pretty excited.
Yeah.